Okay, so so the cop story. We're just gonna go there. So here I am. Oh no, we have to start where I said we were gonna start. So I'm feeling claustrophobic and without answers. So I'm going to a best friend's house where I'm like, okay, like I seriously need some questions answered. And I seriously need her to answer some questions. I need some affirmation from her boyfriend or engagement partner, husband-to-be person. Sorry if partner is not the ideal word for you, Madison Beach, or you, Noah, or Corbin Griffin. I didn't know how explicit they were, you know? Nothing new to them to have some naked women around wearing lingerie and all that stuff. Not that I wore that stuff, but I'm saying like that party and some of the parties, I'm like, holy crap. And y'all being like, oh yeah, well it's practically normal, so normal, and like I was like the biggest dude around, and I still am. And yeah, by like the age of 16, I seriously was like being contacted by Chris Webby and contacted by like other Idaho business and music people, and also like I got club time, and also like I could like be somewhat so to the my forever girl Mariana, and still have like my American on and off time and not necessarily be stuck in a relationship. And also, but like when like I love her or want to be with her, she's like absolutely everything that I need. And then, you know, like me as a 16-year-old, so like the rapper, like being Eminem, like now I'm like on a new level. And so like I'm like the 16-year-old who is allowed at clubs around illegally, but clubs around, and then have older women wearing the blue and the red, and me as a 16-year-old throwing it around on social media, and then talking sweet words and all this stuff to my girlfriend Mariana, who is super supportive and all this stuff. And then the nostalgia between, you know, being the most romantic couple ever with big words clung on because you are a rapper so well known to like the modern time. And not just that, but like now you like got broken up with by Mariana, and you were telling me about how that is so heartbreaking. And that same year summer, you meet me, that was supposed to be the summer that you officially could actually go and have a vacation time at your dad's lake and cabin and have your own cabin with her, and then talking about sex between both of you. And then, because before, when you were like 16, your grandpa said, no, you can't have your own cabin with her, and then, you know, like all that stuff. And then, you know, I'm like, okay, so like, yeah, like obviously, like, okay, kind of awkward and weird that you would ask for those things at that age. And I can't believe, you know, now me thinking back about things, or all those years being left at a strange, really fucked up place by Corbin Griffin and his family, and Noah and his family, and Madison Beach and her family here in Meridian, Idaho. So, yeah, then, so, I'm like, oh, okay, so, yeah, I'm new to all this rap stuff, and I'm new to all this industry, entertainment stuff, and learning about all those things, and I'm not, like, in that field, and, you know, you and your family take it as a business, and, like, more than a hobby. I didn't know that, and I didn't know that you and this girl, Mariana, are on like a stage level of couple. And not only that, but like you're also being like, oh my god, I'm so heartbroken and all this other stuff. And then, you know, he's like, yeah, and so she's practically cheating and all this stuff. And then I'm like trying to differentiate her cheating with him being like, oh no, we never like messed each other up. We always like fix things right away. And apparently, you know, for them it was like important to talk like the love language and like speak really nice to each other, and also like just be there and like talk about like what it means to like be a multicolored family of white and Mexican in their case, and her being a Latina and being the one, and then leaving like, oh my god, like I was always sweet to her and she was always sweet to me, and here's our like romance pictures online on Instagram and on Facebook and all this stuff. And then, you know, like she was so supportive and so understanding that like she understood that when I had to go on business, because by then, you know, he's like hitting the clubs with performances and taking on the slutty big boy faces and acts and eyes from nasty, disgusting women in lingerie promoting their bodies, and him being like, well, you know, there is plenty to see here, and I don't mind because it's work and it's business, and yeah, maybe I am a little bored of their stupidness, but like I'm not necessarily tired and done with their outfits and their holiday time lingerie. And oh my god, yeah, so like I had like a really labor intensive childhood, but I was also the best, and I like took drugs and all this stuff, and here I am being like, be like, oh my god, this guy's confessing all his wrongs, and, you know, he's trying to change his life and be a better person, but then, like, he keeps all that stuff for representation, for expression, and you know, like, someone's gonna look at that and then look at him and then instantly not question that he's some other guy. And then he keeps those things, and then he supports his father, who's also a rapper, Twiggy Griffin, and then he's out there being like, yeah, I choose my father, and we're best friends, and he had me when I was 17 years old, and we do drugs together, we sell at times, not just weed, but mushrooms, and our family, the Griffins, tend to be meth heads and cocaine addicts, and, yeah, so I'm like, you fished me? Like, seriously, like, I had not been with a guy, like, straight out of high school, I instantly was, like, scared of a male relationship, and I was like, I prefer being with a chick. So, me being me, I had my experiences there with how women, or how girls, young adult girls treated me and all this stuff, and I seriously opened myself up, and it was a big mature step for me to be like, I can't judge every dude like that, and I need to see better qualities in this, and I am just not that person to instantly just stab some dude because he's a male, he's a dude, he's a guy, and the level of unsafe scenarios, and, you know, like the fact that like there was spiritual talk and involvement, I was like, okay, I found a guy that, like, I don't have to be judgmental, discriminating against, and I can open myself up. And once again, I'm 22, 23, so super new outside of education, and so then, you know, he grabs on to my open-mindedness and kindness, and then is like presenting himself in a completely different way. I'm not a chick, the average chick, asking for his social media and wanting to know every detail on those things. I think if I was, then I instantly would have been like, okay, so you are not who you say you are, and I am going to remove myself from any further interaction. Okay, so I get the nice guy portion of interactions with him. I don't hang out as much. I mean, I'm around somewhat, but I don't have the actual time to go in-depth research. So now it's about what I am receiving at those times, and he sees me, and I am so fucking clueless about how well behaved I am at that time, being super cautious about new interactions and all that stuff. And so he's presenting himself with all his best qualities and putting on nice guy moves because I'm listening to his story about his recent breakup, and then I'm like, oh my god, the spiritual aspect, like, I'm categorizing it somewhere else conceptually, and, you know, like being in my head, my brain, about, like, different topics, and not necessarily being like, oh my god, and the drama, and what happened, and oh my god, and yeah, so not me. And so then, you know, I'm like, okay, so I advocate for maturity and responsibility, and, you know, like, you seem like a super cool dude. Like, do you want to be friends, you know? Like, me being like, oh my god, this guy has potential to, like, be a close friend where I can just, like, spend the night, and if I'm feeling like I need emotional support, and, you know, I'm offering all these topics and things that he wants to discuss, all this nerdy talk, and so, you know, like, at best, you know, be like, okay, alright, I'm gonna fall asleep in your bed, and, like, don't hold yourself to not, like, snuggling. Like, I don't want sex, I don't want that stuff, I just want, like, someone to trust about certain subject topics that I don't necessarily open up to everybody about. I mean, that's not really necessarily the case anymore, because, like, you either understand what I'm saying or you don't, and that has been such a good choice. And so, the experience there was that I, for like, actual, like, body, physical behavior, like, one of the nights, like, I seriously did not make the choice. I know that now because I've had to measure the amount of my tolerance and my patience compared to other cultures and their quick behavior decisions based on, like, what they're used to, and me being super naive about those behaviors and, like, relearning everything. And so, yeah, so, like, I had lost my girl virginity before, but, like, now, like opening myself to a danger zone, like, literally, like me being scared of intimacy with a born male guy, I opened myself up to stepping into an accepting world to this guy. And that was a lot for me, because it meant that I felt comfortable enough with what I knew to allow myself to step into his room and not freak out or have big, huge boundaries up, and to stay. So that to me was, like, a big thing. And then he goes and he gets into his, oh, I feel sorry for myself, and the Mariana stuff, and, like, I'm also gonna get ahead in life and be more than that relationship, and you seem like the coolest chick right now, and all this stuff. And so he ends up taking, I guess you could call it a virginity. And so, you know, like he doesn't even pay for the after pill. He doesn't pay for that. I had to pay $30 for it, because I also was, like, freaking out, because it's simple science, and, you know, like, why not? I'd be a stupid chick, and then, you know, like, yeah, no. I have a lot of anxiety when it comes to those things. So, especially being modern time, the student of the modern time education, and then being like, yeah, no. I still have to set up my life, and, like, all this economic inflation and all this stuff. So, like, I'm a little more aware of, like, the maturity, big financial steps. And so then I'm just like, no. But, like, once again, you know, I was way too closed in and naive about things. So I had a difficult time saying no. And, like putting someone else before me, or putting their needs before mine. And, so like I just have more limits now with those things, like a lot more. And so, so that happened, right? And then he doesn't even ask me to be his girlfriend, to be in a relationship with him. He's like, I don't know, because I had to ask him if we were in a relationship, because that's what those steps mean to me. I'm not like a fucking floozy making out with people and then being like, oh yeah, it's just for funsies, and, cause I look like that chick. And so, like, I expect more, and people were making it out to be like I was some fucking crazy chick being like, hold yourself responsible for your mature choices. And so then he doesn't even stop from talking or messaging his ex Mariana when she started messaging him back again. And so by that time, like, he finally chose to be in some form of relationship with me, like saying officially on Facebook that we were dating or something. And that was because, like, he felt that he would look bad, and he was at a time where he was rebuilding his image and his family's and his business, seen as like a good person, because he followed Chris Webby in his super driven bad days, including Eminem, and then being like, no, I read a book from Modson, M-O-D, Son, and then he's like, oh no, it's all about the hippie movement and the positivity and like all this other stuff, and like my life is enlightened, and I'm following NF Music, Nathan, and his real music with rap and rock and all this other stuff, politically, and these versions of him being like, oh yeah, I'm showing you all the good things, the good qualities about me and all that stuff, and bringing up like Watsky and all how much he's like so the perfect person to know what's good out there and what's art and what isn't, and all this stuff, calling himself one of the real MCs, along with Madison and Noah and all that the friend group, and me not knowing who these people are, and me barely learning what the heck an MC is, or learning some of the slang terms, or the terms, the words chosen for this classification. And so I'm like new. I can't even say at that time the word paraphernalia, and I have to like really think about saying that word, because it's such a concept for me. And like, I was literally there in their weed culture to like say hey, and like maybe get the secondhand smoke, because I honestly was on a health binge. I didn't necessarily have like strong politics towards them, towards the weed culture, only that my friends were treating me right, and right as in not being mean, discriminating me, and all that stuff, like the surface level Hopkin rap style of like not being torched or something. So and he's a white dude and he's, you know, like level Eminem, rapping hard and all this stuff. And so, you know, me being like, okay, so like I'm experiencing a white guy that is sentimental and nice and likes me for me, but then, you know, he brings in his other ex, and then the reason he invited me to that summer lake house cabin was to have that experience, that the relationship, romance, get together, vacation time that he had already scheduled for him and Mariana, and didn't want to be left alone, being in such a heartbreaking, traumatic place all alone without someone to understand him at the teenage or memories or young adult times compared to older family members or the year-to-year normal schedule over there. And obviously I had to work. Obviously my responsibilities were much more important. Obviously I had to pay that rest of that $9,000 tuition that summer. So no, and thank God, because that really would have fucking sucked for me to like have been placed in all that big mountain of money and that level of his rich boy self and his family trust and all those things, and then later on, because right after he had more affirmation about what he wanted to hear from his ex Mariana, and then broke up with me. And just left it at that, being like, oh yeah, so I mean, we can be friends. And then later on, you know, he like tried to show me that he was still interested. So like I wasn't enough to still be with. I was enough to still be a part of his eyes, and any chance that I may be enough for whatever he was thinking about or wanting at that time. But I wasn't enough to keep around and get to know without worrying about another person of interest. Because that was like me being like, hello, I am important. Hello. You as a friend are still expecting me to find you as a priority and a responsibility to your own head because you're bringing up your mental capacity and your mental illness and all these things that could be red flags, and you want that friend that knows you or that sees that you are healing or being better about yourself and all these things. And then that's a lot of responsibility for someone that is not seen as your priority. And you're keeping around other girls, like not just me, but like some stripper Jasmine chick around in the Boise area that like you follow on Facebook, that also is a like lingerie style chick. And like not only that, but like you're bringing in like Jasmine and Aladdin and all this stuff to like spice up your life when you're like upset with Mariana, because Aladdin is like your Disney movie and she's like your Jasmine, and all this other stuff being like high up in the clouds and air, being like the archway perfectness to your like perfect lifestyle with her, and your big popular contests eyes on you and your family, your popular fame life, and including her, and then you bring up the other chick and you know, your online pics, because like so sad that like you had like an instant ego boost for yourself, that you could still go onto the dating apps and then find yourself some chick or two that you like wanted to go dates on, and then, you know, like you meet me, you have sex with me, and then later on in the next day or two, when I'm like being like, hey, are we something, or like what is, you know, because like, yeah, the part of me that is like, I'm not claiming to be a victim, but like the part of me that's getting out of the submissive side is coming out, and I want to know what is going on in my life. And so yeah, like, what is happening? Please inform me. And then, you know, like, me being that person, you know, like, I'm not gonna hit you or throw a book at you or anything, but it still hurts my feelings that you still had 2 other girls that you had waited on or went to a date with and still wanted to go on a date with, or like plan to go on a date with, and then like I'm like okay, so, and you as a big dude, a big guy, didn't think I would question you for how long have you had those condoms, and how many chicks you might have like associated having sexual stuff like those condoms, and then being like, hey, do you want to wear this Chris Webby shirt, you know, the same night he has sex with me? And then he like walks over to his window where the moonlight is for like that XXX Tenacious Moonlight song, and then, you know, like literally using any form of like those type of romance behaviors with me without necessarily mentioning any of their names, because he knew that I didn't know much of that world, and then left me at like, oh no, those are my choices, and didn't necessarily think that I would figure out the meanings to those behaviors, to those songs, and then wanted me to stay stuck in the subliminal